What is up, everybody, NC?
JC and
We got a Tony Khan is a stupid mark. We had to bring the show back because we have been nothing but disappointed with Tony in the year of 2026. We tried to have some sort of optimism with AEW. We tried to think about it positively. We tried to think about it, hey, maybe, since they are not publicly owned, they're TV 14, he's got a lot of leverage over with TBS and TNT, maybe Tony would make his company the adult alternative. No. What do we have? The same fucking shit. The same shit that we've seen for the last 5 to 6 years. That's what we're seeing now. It hasn't changed. And it's no momentum. That's why we're bringing this to you. No momentum. There's no momentum with AEW. They got All In around the corner. You know it's not going to sell out. You know it's not even going to be half a draw of that. So what are they going to do going forward? Yeah, you put the title back on MJF as an act of desperation. They're running out of draws. They're running out of stars. They're running out of things to do. What can they do in a situation like this?
what could they do in a situation like this? I mean, with Tony Khan, a lot of it is he's booked himself into a corner with a lot of this, and just a lot of what he's doing, he's not getting the help that he needs to really get AEW in the right track. But I and you both, I mean, I feel like we both have recommended, put Bobby Lashley in the world title scene. Like, start using the megastars that you got in better ways and in more important ways. Don't take Edge and Christian and Bobby Lashley and put them in the mid card. That makes zero sense. Like, even Sasha Banks, like, to me, it doesn't make any sense to put her in the mid card. Like, I may not be the biggest fan of hers, but she is one of the biggest stars on that women's roster. It would only make sense to put her in the world title scene. So I feel like a lot of these people have been misallocated, misused, or not used properly. I feel like Dave Meltzer is helping Tony Khan book this. I think Tony Khan is picking Dave's brain. Dave is not officially signed to the creative team, but I feel like it's a lot of what to do is off the record. So I think just Tony Khan going in another direction would be a big benefit.
It would. I mean, and I agree with you on him elevating some of the older stars like Edge, Christian, Bobby Lashley. What he fears, though, being the match mark, is because they're older guys, they won't be able to deliver the classics that he experienced in the 90s when he was a super fan. So
Right.
for him, he sees their age is degrading them. Their skills aren't what they used to be. They're probably slower, can't deliver the same high impact, fast, breakneck pace that he likes. That's what Tony's all about. He wants
Right.
every single match to be a cruiserweight X Division match from 2006. That's what he wants. And it doesn't help, too, that you have all these matches. They're that pace, and then they're 30 to 45 minutes long. You have people getting hurt just as much in WWE as you do over in AEW. The injuries are about equal at this point. Even
I
their
mean,
top champ, MJF, is wrestling right now with an injured knee. That tells you how desperate they are.
it does. It tells you how desperate they are, and it just shows right there that Tony Khan doesn't have faith in anybody else, because if he did, like, I think he tried with Darby Allin and it didn't work. So he's like, okay, we're going to go back to MGF. Well, the problem with it is that MGF is going to become like Cody Rhodes. He's going to get stale and people are going to get tired of it. You got to put the title on somebody else, and you need to put it on an obstacle, like for whoever is the next up and coming babyface to overcome that obstacle. I keep recommending Bobby Lashley. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I think he looks the part. He's a huge star. He's got MVP to be his manager. Like, it just makes all the sense in the world to go in that direction. But I feel like Dave Meltzer would get in Tony's ear and say, "Yeah, but Bobby Lashley doesn't have to work right. How many bangers did he have in New Japan?" I feel like that's what Dave would do, and so I feel like that mentality needs to change with Tony Khan. But quite frankly, I think the bigger problem here is that Tony Khan just doesn't care. Tony Khan has fuck you money, and when you got fuck you money, you can do this. You can book a company recklessly like this, and it won't matter. And then this is the problem.
No, I agree with you. He's very reckless with his money. He does not care. It's all a drop
No.
in the bucket to a billionaire like him. But I firmly believe, though, that his booking style, what we see on TV, he said in an interview himself, he says, this is what I do. This is all me at the end of the day. And
Right.
I truly believe that. I truly believe that he is a hardcore mark that loves that puro, cruiserweight, fast-paced, indie jobber style. He loves that. The no selling, the bad psychology, all the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay type stuff. He loves that. That's his pedigree. And it shows in the type of people he pushes. Because I firmly believe, yeah, like he gets starstruck and he's like, yeah, I got to sign MVP. I got to sign Shelton. I got to sign Christian. I got to sign all these guys who I grew up watching. And then he probably sees him in the ring, and probably after listening to Dave too, he's like, damn, they're not going too fast. They're kind of slow. Go with these young dudes. And a lot of these promoters, that's what they're all about now, is they're all about the youth because they deliver a faster paced match. And as somebody like Tony, let's be real, he's probably autistic. He needs something that's fast paced. He needs it to be very colorful. He needs it to be just that breakneck style that he grew up with. I think that's what's going to help him really immerse himself into it. And the fact that so much of AEW is repetitive just ties right in, you know?
No, absolutely it does. And I think another problem, like when I watch Dynamite or Collision, the one thing that other than the long, boring matches, there's too much comedy. There's there's way too much comedy. There's comedy like all over the place in that show. And it's good to have comedy here and there. It's not good when the entire show is nothing but goofy slapstick comedy. You know, when I think the last Dynamite, I actually checked out a little bit of it. They had Will Ospreay in the Death Riders, and he did this thing where he accidentally got knocked over and fell on his ass. And I'm sorry, this is not this does not help people take your product seriously. And I think that's a lot of the problem too. Is it's good to have some comedy, but you don't want it to overcome the everything else on the show and make it so that people can't take your product seriously. Because I think when they do, they don't look at it as badass. They don't look at it as must see. It's like, it's that comedy show. Fuck it.
Well, this is the problem about booking a work rate company. We've seen it happen over in NXT as of late. When you have a roster full of people that aren't known for their charisma, their acting ability, or their promos, and they're mostly known for how good they are in the ring, what you get is a lot of boring, campy, cheesy promos. A lot of times they have to go to that Nickelodeon style of comedy just because they're bad actors. They have to do that shitty style because basically that's all they're capable of. If Tony were actually putting charismatic people who are good promos, like you said, like Edge, like Christian, like Bobby Lashley, in top positions and relying more on their promo and less on their match work rate or whatever, I think that would be a lot more beneficial for the company because let's face it, what have been the biggest draws in the history of pro wrestling? Promos. Yeah. Every single time. It's always a promo. It's never a match.
No.
Always.
Right. And I would even add on to that. It's like you look at people like Okada, right? Where his whole thing is he's this great wrestler. He's one of the best in the world. Yet they make him a goofy guy that says beach. I'm sorry, but when you treat him like that, people aren't going to take him seriously. And if people can't take him seriously, he's going to fade away. He's going to become like Kenny Omega, where it's you think you've heard that he's a great wrestler, but every time you see him on AEW, he's in some goofy angle, he's cutting some goofy promo, and you just can't suspend your disbelief and take him as a credible champion. I think that's another problem too. It's not just he's Tony. It's not just putting too much comedy into the show, or it's not that he's not featuring enough promos, because he does feature promos here and there, but it's also he's taking the people that you should be taken seriously and he's making them goofy, which just completely it's like taking Brock Lesnar and making him like Eugene. It ruins the whole vibe, you know?
Well, I think for Okada, and this is mostly because Bucks and Omega are really good friends with him, I think what they wanted for him is kind of like a likable baby face is what they were going for. But the problem with Okada is his English is awful. So It doesn't translate well onto the big screen. He's just a big goof with blonde hair. And that's what it really amounts to. What they should have done is more of a silent role, like an enforcer type role, where he doesn't say shit. Somebody talks for him like Don Callis, and he just goes and fucks people up. That would have been the preferred route, especially since he came out of New Japan as a killer. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew Okada coming out. They're like, whoa, they got Okada. And then we see him in AEW. We're like, this is the Okada they were jacking off about? What the hell?
That's the problem right there, is that it's just the goofification of everything on the show. It's when there's no order, there's no control, and you're being booked by a goofy match mark who's the son of a billionaire who just wants to be liked by the wrestlers. What you're seeing in the background, he just wants to get hugs from the wrestlers. He wants to be liked. And sometimes you got to have someone in that company who can lay down the law. Sometimes you need to be Vince McMahon. You sometimes you got to put your foot down and say it's my way or the highway when you're the boss. And I don't think Tony Khan does that.
He has been more as of late. Don't get me wrong, he was a total pushover when Punk was there. Like a total pushover. It took them starting up an AEW committee for them to actually get Punk out of office. And I put that on Brian. Brian's probably like, dude, I know Punk helped get me into a position of power in WWE, but at the same time, he's also a piece of shit, so I got to get him out. So I good thing that he put Daniel Bryan at least as his head police chief. That's a good thing because Bryan has some balls on him.
Yeah.
But we've seen that as of late. I will give Tony credit for at least stepping up and saying no to wrestlers. Like one thing I've seen a lot of lately is if any wrestlers have problems with their booking, he's like, all right, stay at home. I'll go ahead and pay you to sit at home. Just don't be around my locker room making it toxic. Fuck off. I love that. I will say I like that about him. Slowly but surely he is maturing and learning to stand up for himself more. But you're right. For most of his career, he was a total pushover.
And that's the thing too, is like, I mean, you see it with like Britt Baker. It's like, that's a great example right there of what you were just talking about, where it's like if they're a locker room headache, just stay home. Just get your downside guaranteed. Just stay home. We'll freeze your contract, and then when you feel like coming back, you can come back. And if not, then eventually we may let you go. And he could be doing that with wrestlers right now. I mean, he could be doing that with
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara, maybe even Tony Storm. Maybe Tony Storm didn't like the creative, and maybe she was complaining, and he was like, okay, you know what? Just go ahead and stay home.
And if that's the case, that's a big power play right there because Tony had a lot of power and she was at a high spot in the company. That would show anything. And he even did to Swerve too. Because keep in mind, Swerve was bitching not too long ago. He did a tweet and delete because he was off of TV for like a month. And then Tony finally caved and put him back in. But that shows you that at least he's not afraid to police his top stars. I don't think he would do it to MJF. But everybody else, you better believe it. Like, I think, honestly, MJF might be the only guy who has a little bit of immunity. But everybody else, I think he's stepping it up. He might have even done it to Jericho. Who knows? We don't know what Tony's been doing behind the scenes because he's such a private guy. That's the one thing I'll give credit to AEW and their backstage. They don't let leaks get out. With WWE, you hear them all the time. But, like, you would think, if anything, they got Dave. It's almost like Dave is like a safeguard, you know? Keeping leaks from getting out. Doesn't it feel like that?
It does. I feel like Dave is doing his part. He really is. I mean, he knows what he's doing in that regard. So kudos to Dave on that. But it's just, I just feel like overall, Tony Khan needs to feel a sense of urgency. He needs to really care. And look, like I understand that, you know, when it's one thing to critique it from the outside. It's another thing to be actually like on the battlefield, in the company, making day-to-day decisions, dealing with the talents. Maybe the talents are being fucking whiny marks, and you got to work around that. So I get it. I can logically understand what Tony Khan is going through. I don't know what he's going through because he keeps it all private, but I would assume that Tony Khan is probably having to deal with fragile egos, a bunch of people whining, and so he's trying to balance. Like, I want to keep them happy so they stay here, but I also got to have some control. This is my company. I'm footing the bill. I pay these people. They got to do what I want. But like, so I feel like Tony Khan is kind of caught up in that. But I feel like Tony Khan should be listening to fans out there that are thinking differently than a lot of the other wrestling fans you hear out in the YWC. I
think you touched upon it earlier with Dave Meltzer. I mean, look what happened look what happened when he showed up with on Vince Russo and Coach showed up on their show. He was glowing. He was over the moon to talk to Vince Russo, and apparently Vince was talking about going and meeting him over in Vegas and feeling apprehensive about it. He probably did. I think it's a situation where Dave probably found out about that and was not cool with that, and he's like, dude, he's going to poison your company. He's just going to bring in all his old hanky-panky attitude era ideas that aren't going to fly nowadays with this modern wrestling. You already know the spiel that he got because you saw the change of direction. That would be the biggest thing. And go for it.
I think the spiel was if you bring in Vince Russo and or his ideas, you're going to piss off your roster. And do you want to deal with a pissed off roster, Tony?
Yep. Well, I mean, shit, look what happened. We have never seen Dave Meltzer show up at a WWE live televised event ever. A house show is one thing. For him to go front row practically, you could see him on camera though, third row back, right in the front. For him to be there and be seen watching a Trick Williams Sami Zayn match, that tells you everything. He was testing the waters. He was trying to piss off Tony.
No, Dave knows what he's doing.
I think that's what it all comes down to. It's like Vince Russo, he saw him getting a shot. He's like, oh, no, we can't have that. I'm sorry. But at least try something different for one of your shows. Like,
Sure.
I can understand if you want Dynamite to be Matchmark Heaven, Ring of Honor, early 2000, New Japan G1 Climax, reminiscent bullshit. I get that. Go ahead and you have your dream show every week on Dynamite. But I think you should let Collision be an open forum. I think he should make that more of a storyline-driven show. I know he tries to get other stars over on that show, like big stars like MJF, champions like Tekla over on there. So, to get more eyeballs on it. But what's going to really get eyeballs on Collision is storylines. You have to have a reason to tune into Collision. You need storytellers. And that's the problem, is that all these bookers, they're not storytellers.
With AEW, I feel like with Tony Khan has, the opportunities are still there. The potential is still all there. What Tony Khan has to do is he has to decide where is he going to be. If he's going to go in the Dave Meltzer camp and this is going to be match mark to fuck and the ratings are just going to dwindle over time and the product is just going to hemorrhage viewers and ticket buyers, then Tony Khan just needs to be okay with it. And I think Tony Khan needs to come out and just say, you know what? I'm booking this for myself and for Dave Meltzer, and I don't give a shit what fans. If you like it, great. If you were one of the sickos, wonderful. But if you expect this company to be a rival to WWE, think again.
Oh, he did. He said that with Vince Russo, that what he's trying to do is he's not competing with them. He's just trying to offer his own alternative, and that's why he won't take jabs at WWE. He doesn't want to be in a cutthroat competition with them because he's seen what WWE has done in the past. Oh, yeah. They counter program him with the weakest fucking shows like Saturday Night Main Event just to spite him. That's how evil WWE is. So what he's trying to do right now, he's trying to do everything he can just to keep WWE away from him. Not really happy, just stay away from me, let me do my thing, do not counter-program me, let me book my matchmark bullshit, and be happy with it. And it's the thing, too, is because he knows Triple H is a lot of the same type of booker. They're the type of guys that are going to book for themselves at the end of the day. They don't care about what the fans want, especially when you're that rich. You don't have to care. Like, he's so disconnected from reality. That's why you see what you see on the screen. That's what you see. That's a disconnected man. A man in his 40s going up and hugging other men, not thinking this is fucking weird. Disconnection. He's disconnected.
He's disconnected because he's a trust fund cat. I mean, just when he cut that promo on the yacht, I'm like, could you be any more disconnected?
Seriously.
And that's the problem right there. Is just how disconnected he is, how rich he is. Is that it's good in a sense that he's got a lot of money and he's passionate about wrestling, but it's bad in a sense that he's in his own world. And he just doesn't care about giving, because I feel like that's what a lot of fans want, is they want a legitimate competitor to WWE. Somebody with a lot of money and a lot of passion that's going to really just take it to WWE. Tony Khan has the money, he's got the passion, but he doesn't have the drive to really take it to WWE. And he could. He could if he really wanted to. He's got the money, he's got the platform, he's got the roster of talent to do it. He just has to care about taking it to WWE. Yeah.
It's his booking style. That's what it comes down to.
And keeping people happy.
Well, he wants to be like Triple H. He wants to be like the boss that is liked by everybody. He wants to keep everybody happy. He wants to deliver a match-based product. He does not want to deliver a story-based product. That's the big difference. And that's why I'm sure when Vince Russo and even Shane McMahon were shooting him creative ideas, he's like, no, I don't like that. No, I just like long matches. Sorry. I'm sure that's what it came down to at the end of the day. I'm sure he was enamored to meet both of them. Like he said, I mean, when he met Shane, he was like, wow, why is he at paparazzi taking pictures? This is kind of weird, But he said, no, he's like, it was great to meet Shane. It was great to meet Vince Russo. But at the end of the day, I'm sure he's like, you know what? This dude right here, whether it be Shane or Vince, is going to try to come in and tell me how to run my company that I've been running in his head just fine for the last 6 years. That's what he's going to be thinking.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's just leaving a lot of money on the table. It's leaving a lot of potential untapped and unutilized, and you just get what you get now. And that's why with AEW, I don't have hope for it. It's just there,
Well, that's why we really stopped covering Dynamite. That's why you got JD screaming that he's not going to cover Dynamite anymore. A lot of people are just not covering Dynamite because there's no care about it. It's just, oh, cool. Banger matches. All right. Cool. More banger matches. Even better. Oh, they got a title match this week. Whoa. Oh, they got a brand new belt. I am so sick and tired of titles. I
Same.
almost want a wrestling promotion with no titles at all.
No titles. No titles PW,
Fuck yeah, just something different. Because that's the thing is like everything we've seen thus far, it's all the same. And let's be real about AEW. It's just Ring of Honor, but with a brighter gloss on a bigger stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Ring of Honor with the bigger TV deal.
Yeah. Go figure he bought it. Just saying. So, guys, that has been Tony Khan is a stupid mark. No momentum in AEW at all, and it ain't going to happen anytime soon. NC.
JCN.
Peace out.